Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell. I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I am the owner of Maxwell's fitness programs, and I've been in business since 1994. That is 30 years. We're having our big 30-year anniversary celebration, which I think is pretty darn awesome. I think it's really cool to say that I've been doing this for 30 years. Who would have thought? That's a long time to be doing something you love to do. Feel very fortunate for that. The purpose of this podcast is to get to the real deal of what really works, and most importantly, why things work. I want all of my clients and all of my followers to really understand that there's a science behind this, but at the same time, we don't have to get far out in the weeds too. So we need to be educated, and then we need the wisdom, right? Before I get to all of this today, let me thank Jonathan and Lynn Gilden of the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They are committed to providing the highest level of customer service in real estate sales, and they have the reviews and the sales to back that up. So please give them a shout, 386-451-2412. They are also one of our sponsors for the MaxFit Games. That is coming up on August 24th. And part of the proceeds is going to Volusia Recovery Alliance. And I think you'd have to basically live in a tunnel, live underground to not know that we have some serious issues with substance abuse in this county, in this town, in this state, in this country, in this world. So I think it's important that we all do our best to help this out. All right. So now let's get to today's topic. I trained and taught personal trainers for many years. Let me think how long I did that. About 12 years, I suppose. Kind of a side hustle I had along with my gym. And it was a lot more than a side hustle, man. It took a lot of time, but it was great. I really valued the time of teaching sports medicine, and mostly in sports medicine, I really centered on getting the people into the fitness environment in a professional way so they can work in cardiac rehab and different types of jobs. And a lot of them did go into personal training. And, I think back on the lessons that I gave them. And as far as kind of a philosophical standpoint, I would always tell them that there are two things you have to remember. Probably the most important rules in strength training and working out and as a good personal trainer. And the first one is very simple. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the first one, and that is consistency. Like, you have to, whatever you're teaching your clients, you need to make sure that they understand that there's no more important thing than consistency. The weekend warriors are not going to get very far, The person that goes to the gym maybe once a week or every so often, or they kind of get in fits and starts and then they quit, just not going to get very far with that. And so we need to teach people how to be consistent, and oftentimes we can do that by teaching them what they really need to do, because a lot of times they start and stop because they've been told to do more than they need to, or things like that. There's a lot of variables, but there's nothing more important than consistency. None of the other things matter if you don't show up. Does it really matter what the perfect rep range is, which there isn't one, what the perfect load is, what the perfect set number is, exercises, which, perfect does not exist in this field or probably in any field. But none of those things matter if you don't show up. So as a trainer, you need to make sure that, number one, people understand that consistency comes first, that they'd be way better off to do 10 minutes a day of something than to do something once a week and not step foot in a gym or into an exercise session the rest of the week. So that was one. And two is more of the topic of this podcast. And I would teach them that just know what not to do. I'm going to repeat that. Just know what not to do. What I mean by that is there's a lot of right ways to work out. There's a lot of good cardiorespiratory modes out there. There's not a best, as I've said. There's a lot of good ones and a lot of good ways to do it. Like, for example, running's good, walking's good, cycling's good, swimming's good, rowing is good. You get the point. Step aerobics is good. Like, there's a lot of right ways to do cardio. And there's a lot of right schematics to do it as well. In other words, you're going to hear people say, well, HIIT is better than steady rate or long slow distance cardio. HIIT stands for high intensity interval training, and it's been like the buzz over the last 10 years or so. It's fine, and it could work for people. And then steady rate is more of what you think of most of the time when you think of cardio, like going for a 3-mile run, doing a 30-minute walk, just basically at a steady pace the whole time. That's considered steady rate, or sometimes we call that long, slow distance. And I guess it really depends on whether we put the long attachment to it based on how long somebody goes. But that's good too. And in strength training, excuse me, this concept comes up even more. Know what not to do. All right. So like, let's go back to the cardio. Like, somebody might say, well, what should I advise for my client for his cardio, his or her cardio? And I'd say, well, there's a lot of great options. You have to get to know your client and pretty much tell them, advise them, help them come up with their plan of, number one, what do they like to do? What can they do? What do they have access to? I mean, that's the easy part, right? I mean, I always start with, what do you like? And so many times people say, well, is it best? I'm like, yeah, because you're going to do it. So if I say, actually, if I'm being, non-truthful, and I'm just throwing this out as an example, if I were to say, well, I need you to run because it's best, and they look at me and they go, I hate running, I can't stand it, then why would I tell them it's best? They're not going to do it. We're not going to do things we hate to do. We're just not. I don't care if somebody tells you it's the best. You're not going to do it over time if it's something that you just really can't stand doing. Some people hate running. Some people love running. And, that's why there's so many great ways to do it. But so that's the first thing we start with. But that's the easy part. They can easily answer what they like to do. They can easily answer what they have access to. So, for example, they might say, well, you know what? Really love to swim. So, oh, great. Do you have a pool? No. Okay, do you live close to a YMCA or a place with a pool that you can join? Well, the closest one is like 30 miles away. Like, okay, well, you like it, but you don't have a lot of access to it, so you're probably not going to do it, and especially consistently. So, but those are easy questions to go over. But now you got to help them with what not to do. So let's say somebody just had meniscus surgery on their knee. Maybe they're a month out, so maybe they're rehabbing it. So yes, running's great, but maybe now is not the time to do it. So we know what not to do. And oftentimes that's pretty easy, because if you teach your client right, you teach them to let pain be the guide. So anything that causes pain, and I don't mean soreness or being a little uncomfortable, I mean pain, then that's not going to work for them. But you teach them that it's not what's best or better, it's what we shouldn't do now. Like, what don't we do now? If you just come out of rotator cuff surgery and you're only 6 months out and you've had chronic shoulder injuries that really impede your physical fitness, and it impedes your ADLs, and it impedes your lifestyle. I mean, swimming's great, but maybe it's not for you. Like, there's so many different ways, unless you absolutely love it and you want to get back to it eventually. Like, I would never tell somebody, oh, never do that again, because if it's something they love, that's just ridiculous. That's not even being fair. That's playing God, and I ain't him. So, that's not even fair. But if somebody doesn't love it so much anymore and they're willing to give it up, I mean, you tell them, well, maybe that's what we don't do. So we learn what not to do. Now I'm going to shift to the gym, because I think this point is even more critical here. There are so many good workout strategies out there. I'm finishing my 3rd book right now, and it's just basically about the Max Fit way, like how I've trained people through the years and putting the workouts out there, something I've been wanting to do. So I'm wrapping it up. I'm doing the proofreading on it now. And I'm very clear in the book, like this is workout programs I've used for people through the years, but I will never sit here and say it's the best, because there is no best. It's the best for me. It's been the best for me. It's been the best for my clients because it's worked. Been doing this 30 years. So obviously the programming I've been doing has been working for people. So it's best for the gym, it's best for the business, it's best for the clients that have come in, but there is no best. And I've always lived by that know what not to do. There are so many good programs. If somebody were to say, I get a lot of questions on the internet, social media, as people ask me questions, and I'm kind of a jerk if I don't somewhat answer them. I try to keep the answers vague if I don't know somebody, but I'm going to answer them, and they might say, hey, I heard about this split routine that so-and-so is doing. It does legs and back together, and it does this. I'm just throwing out an example. I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm sure it's fine. Like, know what not to do. If it's getting him to the gym and there's no reason not to do it, then sure, it's fine. Like, there is no best way. So you might think, okay, so then what would be an example of know what not to do? Well, say for example, somebody wants to do a split routine. And for some strange, and a split routine, for those that don't know, means that you are working different muscle groups on different days. And the reason why somebody would do that would be to increase the frequency of how often they work out, or to increase the volume. That can be fine. It's not necessary for all people, but it can be fine. And again, it's know what not to do. But let's say they have a plan where they say, so here's what I looked up, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my chest and shoulders on Monday, and then I'm going to do my triceps and biceps on Tuesday, and then they tell me what they're doing the rest of the week, but it really doesn't matter in this example. I would say, well, you may not want to do that. Again, know what not to do. So, well, why wouldn't I want to do that? I say, well, because I assume when you're doing chest, you're doing a chest press or a bench press or an incline press or push-ups or whatever. Yeah, of course. Okay. Well, like, you're using your triceps a lot when you do that. And if you're using your triceps a lot on Monday, and then you're coming back and targeting them specifically on Tuesday, that's 2 days in a row of working your triceps, they're going to get overtrained and they're not going to grow, because each muscle group needs at least 48 hours in between, that's science, before it recovers. So that's an example of knowing what not to do. Split routines can be fine. And this is one of the hardest things that I've had to get bodybuilders to understand, because they just don't always take that into consideration. Like, they don't always think that each muscle has a synergist. Like, each time we do an exercise, there's a synergist. In other words, there's a helping muscle group. So just because we might be targeting one muscle, it doesn't mean that the closely related synergistic muscle groups are not helping. And if they're helping, they're doing a significant amount of work. And if you train them every day, which it really could end up being on some of these people's split routines, the old principle of retrogression, use it or lose it, or the principle of overtraining is going to impact you. So you're not going to grow. So that's one of the toughies. But having said that, if you know how to do that, then it could be a fine way to work out, especially for people that love to work out and strength train every day. Sure, you can. Just know what not to do. Make sure that you're really giving each muscle group proper rest in between. Again, it's not a better way. That's a myth. It's a different way. But that's like one example, right? Say, oh, okay, so now I'm going to shift to another example. Somebody might say, I saw so-and-so doing these overhead presses, is that the best way to develop their shoulders? And I'd look at them, I go, well, I don't know. But what you're really asking is it the best way to develop your shoulders? Now, it could be, but what if they've had impingement syndrome before? Or what if they've had a rotator cuff tear? So sure, overhead presses are a great way to develop a fully functional, healthy shoulder, but a terrible way to try to develop if you've had impingement syndrome a rotator cuff tear or bicep tendonitis that lingers, because now you're putting a lot of stress on that joint, which is a glenohumeral joint, meaning that the only thing that really keeps it together is muscles and tendons, so it's already vulnerable. And if you're kind of like, making it more vulnerable by putting it in a precarious position, then you're going to hurt it. So for you, know what not to do. What might be better for you would to work each head basically by itself by doing these side raises for your medial deltoid, the front raises for your anterior deltoid, and reverse fly for your posterior deltoid. Like, you might be better doing that and making sure that your humerus, your upper arm bone, never goes above your shoulder height. So that would be best for you. So again, there's so many good ways to do things, but you really got to think about what not to do. So that's another example. Let me give you a third example. Like, there's a lot of different structures that people can do. Like, they can do straight sets with some rest in between. They can do like a circuit where there's not a lot of rest in between, and both can be great and both can be effective. Know what not to do, okay? So like, if you're a super skinny hard gainer and you're flying around on a circuit, you're probably not getting enough recovery to build the muscle, and you might actually be causing maybe some anaerobic atrophy because you're cutting into your muscles so much. So it might be great for that guy who's doing some sort of a circuit that you see on Instagram or you see on social media. But that's the problem with pulling stuff off the internet. Like, that might be a really great workout routine, but it may not be great for you because you may have a different type of metabolism. If you're an ectomorph, like if you're naturally skinny and you don't grow muscle easy, like, that's one of the worst things you can do. One of my battles with people is people who want to gain muscle. It's like, and they're overdoing their cardio. That's kind of the same thing. Like, you're creating such a deficit into the energy that it's going to be very hard for the muscles to grow, and the muscles are already struggling. So that's kind of what happens when we overtrain in the gym too. And I say it a lot to people because there's a lot of ectomorphs out there, especially guys who want to get bigger. And I'll say, well, it's great that so-and-so's doing 4 or 5 sets, but for you, that's the kiss of death because you're going to overtrain. So ectomorphs always have to learn to do less. Less is going to be more for an ectomorph. Now flip that, an endomorph who is struggling to lose weight or does struggle to lose weight because they easily put body fat on, well, they're going to thrive a lot more in an environment where you're picking up the pace a lot more and burning more energy because they already naturally put weight on a little bit more. So, and I have no idea why Siri just talked to me like that on my watch. That was a little annoying. I didn't even set an alarm. But anyway, they already gain weight easy. So it's going to be better for them to follow that kind of routine. So both are great. It's just know what not to do for you. Like, if you already struggle with weight and you're really going to the gym to lean out, obviously to keep your muscle. I always stress, no matter what, we always want to keep muscle on the body. We don't want to sacrifice muscle, so we should strength train no matter what, whether we're too skinny, whether we're too overweight, or whether we're too whatever. We should always strength train. But like, if your goal is to lean out and you put weight on easy, well, you probably don't need to be the guy that is taking a lot of time between sets, that's focusing only on heavy weights, because you're going to want to burn more energy as you go. Like, you're going to want to make sure that calorically you're burning more energy, and you can get away with more, because the thing is endomorphs are going to recover actually a little bit better because there are more substrates to help them recover. Ectomorphs, total opposite, are going to have less substrates, and they're basically fighting to put weight on all the time. So any kind of speedy workout or too much cardio or too many sets or too much volume is going to be the kiss of death. So we have to remember that there's always great ways to work out. Like, there are many good things to do. But we have to think about our goals and what we're striving for and know what not to do. Like, somebody who is a classic slow twitcher and they go to the gym and they can do rep after rep after rep, but they want to get stronger. And anytime you add load or tell them to move the load faster, which is part of a struggle for slow twitch muscle fiber people, believe it or not, it's not just the load they use, but sometimes how fast they move it, then you don't want to sit there and just hammer what they're already good at. So know what not to do. So when they read, I see these triathletes are doing a lot of, they're mostly slow twitchers, and oftentimes we gravitate towards what we're good at, but, they're doing high reps, moderately slow speed, and that looks great. And I said, yeah, for them it might be, but you already have that. So why would you be training for that? Like, you need to do the opposite. You're going to want to do heavier loads faster for less reps, even if you're not good at it, because that is going to help you, especially if it's causing deficits in your racing and training. So a lot of great ways, but we have to first know ourselves, and we have to be disciplined. We have to ask questions, and we shouldn't be following people that don't know us on the internet and following what they do. And we have to know what not to do. Many great ways to do it. And I'll wrap up by saying you got to be consistent. None of this matters if you ain't there, people. Now let me thank Zach and Jeff Hawk, who are my clients, my friends. I've known Jeff for over 30 years before Zach was even born, and now I know Zach well, comes to the gym, beast of a workout guy. They're the owners of Overhead Door, and they are just phenomenal people, and they have the best garage door company in the area, and they are our gold sponsor of the MaxFit Games. Very generous, and I think that says a lot about a business. So give them a shout at overheaddordaytona.com.